For our digestive system, the first thing it says to find is the 4 lobes of the dark brown liver. So obviously the liver is always the largest structure in almost every animal. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4 lobes of our liver. 3 functions to this dark brown liver. What are these 3 functions? Produce what? Bile. Store what? Nutrients. Remove what? Metabolic waste. Next thing it says is the gallbladder. To find the gallbladder, you guys, you have to pick up actually what would technically be going from this side of the body, the second lobe. And if you pull it up, you'll see there's like a little slit between it and the third lobe. If you pull it up, you should see what looks like a little deflated balloon that's kind of built right into the underneath of this little second lobe. Now, if you just use your probe to go around it, you can actually just with your fingers pull the whole gallbladder out from where it's sealed in. And it looks like, again, a little deflated grape that's built into the bottom of the lobe of the liver. Now, what is the job of this gallbladder? Stores bile. Exactly. Now, it does, obviously, in the lab, it tells you that the little thin tube, if you pull the gallbladder out and you pull it down, you'll see there's a little thin tube that it's actually attached to. That's the bile duct. I would not pin the bile duct on the lab test, but I would pin the gallbladder itself. Okay? All right, then we look at esophagus. You can see the esophagus from another route, which is to pretty much turn the body. And you're going to see a big tube coming from the throat region, pretty much up here by the lungs. You just got to tease away a little bit of this mesentery. Okay, I'm going to tease away a little mesentery, pull the arm out. And what you should see, let me pull that out of the way. You're going to see the big DNC here, dorsal nerve cord, and this is the big aorta. And then right here, you guys, is this kind of browny looking thin tube coming from the throat upper region. This thin tube is the esophagus. What's its job? Passageway for food. Then it goes into what looks like a stomach. Now their stomach is this pouchy thing right here that's actually deflated. So it's like a little deflated, round, pouchy thing. If you use your fingers, you could kind of tear some of the mesenteries around it, but it looks like a little deflated balloon. Okay? So this right here would be the stomach function. 2, mechanical and chemical digestion. Underneath it, if you pick up the stomach, again, use your finger, just kind of push on the little mesenteries to make them kind of break apart. Right underneath the stomach, you should see something. I'm going to zoom in here. Let me go with a darker background, see if that helps. Color. Yeah, that helps. So again, if I pick up the stomach, directly underneath it is this, it almost looks like cottage cheesy in appearance. This kind of long, skinny thing that's kind of cottage cheesy. This is the pancreas. 3 functions, you guys. Produce high pH to neutralize acid, produce insulin, and produce enzymes. Correct. Then we go to the spleen. The spleen is actually it's just like the shark one. It's attached to the bottom of our deflatable stomach. And it looks like this flat, kind of darky brown, smooth thing that sits right kind of curled around the bottom of the stomach. So this right here would be the spleen. 3 functions of this. Create, destroy, and store red blood cells. Correct. Then we got to find the small intestine. From our deflatable stomach, if we just coil around, you'll see a much smaller, skinnier tube. These are the small intestines. They serve 2 functions, 2 major functions. What are they? Further digestion and absorb nutrients. Then we have what's called the large intestine. If you rotate, it's usually the darker, kind of more greeny, big ones. They're usually a little bit greener in color. 2 functions of the large intestine. Packs feces and absorbs water. Correct. Then it says the cecum. The cecum is pretty much, you got to find where the large intestine turns into the small intestine. It's usually way over here on when you're looking into the body cavity on the right side. And you should see where the small intestine turns into the large intestine. I'm going to break the mesenteries on just this portion here to pull it out. And once we do that, we can see, let me see if I can lay it flat here so we can see it better. Small tube, small intestine, turns into large tube, large intestine, with this little tube that goes what? Nowhere. So in us, we call this little extension also our appendix. Theirs is a cecum, but they are grass eaters, which means this actually in them serves a purpose, which is it just helps in digestion. Okay, so it does help in digestion. In us, nothing. Okay. All right, then if we go down to the rectum, you guys, if you just follow the coiled tube of the large intestine, eventually, if you pull all of it up, okay, pull all of it up, you're going to see a big green tube as it's straight, running right down the middle of the back wall. If it's running down the middle of the back wall, it is now the rectum. Function of the rectum? Store waste, store solid waste, feces, okay? And then the exit site, the anus, again, if you just pull the tail down, it should be the opening directly underneath the tail, which is the anus, which is the exit side of solid waste.